He is from Eneco. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer from Eneco, and he had a presentation about the blockchain and when you need the blockchain, when you don't need the blockchain. So, a lawyer from Australia, from a Dutch energy company who talks about blockchain, when to use it and not. And they also said he had a very interesting story. So let's talk. Yeah. So Robert, a lawyer at Eneco from an Australian background. How did you get here?
Well, started with a trip to Europe with a motorbike trip in between, and then a job offer from Eneco to join their smart energy team.
Yeah. And then you are legal counsel, so that's really interesting that you can do that in the Netherlands, because you don't. Your Dutch is not on legal level, right?
I can understand and I can read Dutch, and for the most part, that gets me through everything that I need to do.
Okay. When did your love for blockchain start to appear?
In about January 2016, I took the time to have a look at what was going on in the market, where the opportunities were, and then started to look at blockchain and its implications on the legal industry. And then that came in very handy when we started working with Eneco, because we're also very interested in what blockchain can mean for us.
Okay. So Robert, what can blockchain not do in the energy world?
I look at it slightly differently. I think that blockchain serves two purposes. It pushes the administration of a system onto a network, and then it gives people access to that network. So from an energy perspective, it's about saying what kinds of administrative things do we want to put at the network level, and what kind of rights and entitlements do we want to give people and machines at an individual level. And I think there is a lot which it can do, but I think there is a lot, from a broader system which it probably isn't the right solution for. And there are different options and there are different ways of optimizing the way we do things, and it's not always blockchain.
Yeah, so give me a couple of examples where people think that blockchain can be a solution and it's completely ridiculous because it's really a pretty shitty database and a very expensive one, which is not very useful. What examples did you brought up in your presentation?
Well, I think there's probably two categories. One is people who are trying to launch new systems, like tokenized systems for values of exchange, and there's people who are trying to launch new services, which have a blockchain back end, essentially.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, they're really selling these on a trust basis and trying to say, well, you don't have to worry about the governance of this system or this service. But I think the market will decide whether or not trust was an issue in the first place. And the market will decide whether or not distributing the information in 1,000 places is actually what they need. I think we're about to see whether or not people need more than blockchain in order to buy or pay for something.
Yeah. For something like Eneco, a big, huge company, you have millions of clients, you have a trust relationship for a long time. What could blockchain do for a company like Eneco?
I think the most exciting thing for Eneco is that if we truly move to a decentralized network where you have individual assets and individual people interacting directly with the market and being able to make their own decisions essentially autonomously, then there will be the creation of layers of additional value which we can provide. And I think Eneco can leverage its trust relationship and use its current experience with new products and services to act as that agent, to act as that person who acts for the people on the market to help them maximize what they've got.
Yeah. But, Eneco always used to do everything for me. Energy was a boring thing in the background. And you did centralized, you organized everything for these millions of consumers. Isn't it a threat for your role?
I don't think so. I think as far as the consumer is concerned, things should get simpler, not harder. Things might get harder for us in the back end to make sure that everything is organized correctly and synchronizes in the right way. But ultimately, we want to increase the amount of trust and the simplicity for the end user experience.
Okay. The tokenizing of all the businesses and basically the ICOs, which have all kinds of good ideas, wild ideas, crazy ideas, stupid ideas, and want to raise a lot of money for it. Hundreds and hundreds of ICOs in the energy sector. What's your take on that? What have you seen and what do you think of them?
Well, I think that for the people who successfully do an ICO, it gives them access to capital which they could never have dreamed of, and actually gives them the license to do things which might not otherwise have happened if they went through traditional fundraising routes.
Yeah, so that increases innovation, possibly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from Eneco's perspective, we like to collaborate and partner with startups and scale-ups. So, participating in an ICO isn't necessarily in line with our philosophy, but I think it's really exciting to see what will happen when people have the license to do whatever they want.
Yeah. So do you already have invested in a number of startups which are doing an ICO right now?
No, we don't have any investments in blockchain-specific ICOs or startups. We have joined the Energy Web Foundation as an affiliate because we really like their attitude of, well, let's not put in any predefined rules as to what the market should be. Let's let the market participants figure out what it can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's ask you a visionary question. In 5 years from now, what will blockchain have done? What kind of actual things can we see which in blockchain solutions in the energy sector?
I think in 5 years' time you'll see that machines have a real identity which people trust and which has been authenticated, and it will allow them to do things which we probably can't imagine yet. But that's where I see the trend
and the
going.
machines you talk about are electric cars or solar panels or wind central or what are those machines?
Pretty much any machine which is connected to the internet, which is connected to power. I think will, at least from the energy industry's perspective, I think that's where the future will lie. Not so much in worrying about what people think about blockchain, but thinking about what blockchain can do for machines.
Thank you very much, Robert Henham from Eneco.